Hey everyone, it's Rod with Pal Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. Today is Thursday, September 28th. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, we're going to be discussing Canada's population seeing a massive surge. I've been covering the population here in Canada and specifically the real estate market in Western Canada. I live in Edmonton, Alberta. Very bullish on it long term, but I've got a few articles I want to share with you, and we're seeing a massive surge, like I said. But before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. A couple of articles that I want to share with you, but like I said, the main one was Canada's population seeing a massive surge of about 46%. And again, before we get to the details, make sure to support the channel. I would really appreciate it if you could go to X, which is previously Twitter, and follow Pal Group there. The handle for that is @GroupPal. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. So again, you can follow Pal Group on X, which is @GroupPal. And again, I've done many videos on real estate here in Alberta. I moved to Edmonton, Alberta about 3 years ago after selling properties in the East Coast in Prince Edward Island. I've seen a similar rise in population, similar rise in real estate prices, and I think that Edmonton and Alberta is going to be the next on the list that's really going to see a massive surge. And like I said, we've got some articles to support that. But if you haven't gone to the playlist tab yet, if you just go to Pal Group channel, click on playlists, you can go to real estate, and then there will be all of the videos there. I've done tons of videos. I talk about my real estate game plan and portfolio game plan over 2023. I talk about buying an Airbnb property. And again, if you're thinking about starting an Airbnb, you can go to the About page. You can click on the host referral, and you'll actually get some money using my referral. And full disclosure, I'll get a kickback as well. So you'll get money as signing up as a new host with my link, and then I'll also get a kickback as well. So you can check that out. I talk about how I'm preparing for one of the worst market crashes in history and how I'm hedging with certain types of real estate. I talk about catastrophic times ahead. Bank of Canada said that mortgage rates could soar anywhere from 20 to 40% over the next couple of years as 5-year fixed start to renew in 2025, 2026. There's Canadians flocking to Alberta in record numbers. There's Edmonton and Alberta top search for real estate in Canada, and then mortgage rates hitting the highest point since 2000. So again, if you haven't seen any of those videos, I highly encourage you to go check those out. But here's the article from the Globe and Mail. Canada's population surges on 46% jump in temporary residents. Temporary residents have largely driven the rapid growth of Canadian population over the past year, a development that is raising fresh concerns over the country's ability to absorb these newcomers as it struggles with high living costs. The population stood at roughly 40.1 million in July 1st, an increase of nearly 1.2 million people from a year earlier, according to Statistics Canada figures that were published on Wednesday. At 3%, this increase was largest over a 12-month period since 1957, which coincided with the baby boom and Hungarian refugee crisis. Not only is Canada growing much faster than its group of 7 peers, but it was likely among the world's 20 fastest growing countries, the agency said in its report. And you can see here the graph showing the 12-month change in Canadian population, just starting to go parabolic. International migration accounted for almost the entirety of this increase. Over the previous year, the country welcomed around 469,000 permanent residents, part of Ottawa's plan to raise immigration levels. However, the main contributor to population growth was temporary residents, which include people with study or work permits, many of whom wish to stay in Canada permanently. As of July 1st, there were 2.2 million temporary residents in Canada, and their ranks have risen by 46%, or close to 700,000 people in a single year. The federal government has long touted high immigration as an economic stimulant that would counter an aging society and fill jobs, but in recent months, many economists have said that Ottawa is pushing too hard and contributing to a surge of demand for services such as housing that were already in short supply. The system, in my view, is out of control, said Michael Scudderud, I think his name is pronounced, a professor of economics at the University of Waterloo who studies immigration. It's sort of a runaway train, and there are no clear brakes at this point. So I've been saying for a while now that, the system is definitely broken. And then, take a look at Toronto and BC. I could have moved to Toronto. I could have moved to British Columbia. I had tons of friends in British Columbia. I had lots of friends and family as well in Ontario. I moved here, Edmonton, Alberta, from the East Coast, and I basically knew no one. And the only reason why I really moved here was because of the opportunity in real estate. You can buy a condo here for anywhere from 50,000 Canadian to $100,000 Canadian. That means if you're in the US, you can buy a condo for like 30,000 to like $70,000, right? Because the dollar gets your dollar gets way more than the Canadian dollar, right? It's worth like 0.65 or something like that. So for every dollar Canadian, it's only worth like 0.65, right? American. So prices are absolutely ludicrous here, and you can buy a massive home for, $500,000, which could barely even get you a shoebox in Toronto or Vancouver, right? I was actually visiting a friend who's a realtor in Vancouver, and there was a couple that they were looking for the cheapest option, and they just wanted to get somewhere close, not even like downtown Vancouver. It was like on the outskirts. And the cheapest that they could afford was a small one-bedroom condo. It was $400,000. Didn't even have any parking. It was street parking. There was no AC. The bedroom, I think it was less than 400 square feet. I think it was like 370 square feet. And the master bedroom, like the only bedroom, was a one bedroom. It wouldn't even fit a king bed in there. So it was just absolutely ludicrous. I couldn't imagine spending that much money. And then, yeah, you can come here to Edmonton and you can buy, a 3-4 bedroom house for like $500,000, right? And it's just insane. Same thing happened in PEI. When I bought properties about 8 years ago, I was buying a bungalow, 3-bedroom house for 170,000 Canadian. And then I sold that same house for over double, right? And then there's a friend of mine that bought a house in Prince Edward Island in the east coast of Canada for $200,000, and then 3 years later it over doubled. But he needs a place to stay in and couldn't sell his house. But I was able to sell it and then move here, and I'm looking to do the same thing here in Alberta. But we'll run through this here a little bit quicker now. I'll put this in the description as well. It's pretty long, so I won't go over everything in detail, but I did want to highlight here. Check out the population growth across the provinces. So Alberta leading, and then second is PEI. Funny how I was in, one could say I got lucky, but I was living in Prince Edward Island before, and then Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Ontario, BC, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Quebec, and Newfoundland following. But yeah, tons of people are moving here from British Columbia and Ontario from those provinces to Alberta. And then we're seeing a ton of international immigrants as well. And it's been rumored that we could see another 1 million immigrants here in Alberta over the next year. And then take a look at this part right here. Strong population growth is seen virtually everywhere in the country. Alberta paced the provinces by growing 4% over the past year, followed by Prince Edward Island at 3.9% and Nova Scotia at 3.2%. In Alberta, this growth was not only due to international migration, but was also the result of record net gains from migratory exchanges between provinces. StatsCan said in a report. Alberta had a net interprovincial gain of more than 56,000, meaning 56,000 more people arrived in Alberta from other provinces than vice versa. It was the largest interprovincial gain ever recorded. Historically, polls have shown that Canadians are broadly supportive of high immigration, but in recent surveys suggest this support is fading as people draw a link between strong population growth and exorbitant housing costs. And then there was another article here from the Globe and Mail, Canada on track for 100 million population, but public support can't be taken for granted, Century Initiative CEO. So again, Canada just over 40 million now in terms of population, and we could be on our way to 100 million very, very soon, and we have the land mass to do so. I encourage you to just bring up the Beijing chart, go to Google Maps, look up Beijing, and then take up another tab, and then put Edmonton right beside it, and don't tell me that they don't look similar, right? We could the Anthony Henday, right, could just basically be a small version of Beijing, and they could just continue to build, around it, right? Ovals around it. Anthony Henday 2, Anthony Henday 3. And I'm hearing that that's already the plan. So we could easily support, another 5-10 million people just in Alberta alone, just based on the land mass. And there's only 5% sales tax here. Very, very cheap energy, right? It's oil country. So if you're somebody who's struggling from rising petro and oil prices and things like that, gas and oil, we get very, very low prices for that, and only 5% sales tax and some of the best accommodation and living costs in all of Canada, I would argue, and probably in North America. But let me know what you think of this news. I'm very bullish on real estate. Like I said, I'm buying my 4th condo in less than 2 years, and I'm going to be looking to unload as we start to see, affordable housing. There's a million people that are due to come to Alberta over the next year, I'm hearing through the grapevine. And like I said, there's just tons of immigrants. There's tons of people coming from interprovincial, like Ontario and BC, where there's just exorbitant housing costs, where, you're paying anywhere from $1 million for a little shoebox, right? So this is the land of opportunity in the market. I think that's going to see the biggest gains over the next couple of years. But let me know in the comments below if you agree with me, disagree with me, or were you surprised by this population growth? Again, I've been forecasting this for about the last 3 years, and it's kind of surreal to see it all come to fruition. But I'm excited. Hopefully you found value in this video. If you did, make sure to smash a like if you think I earned it today, and share the video with anybody that might also find value. But going to end it there, it's Rod with Power Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and go Alberta, go.